Dear Yogi, so good to see you. Derek Esalius here with Denver Yoga Underground, here to share some reflections on 3 pathologies of breath. So we begin with the recognition that breath instruction is a cornerstone of what we often hear in yoga class. And I'll assert, and this is physiologically true, that breathing is every bit as significant as far as your health and well-being is concerned as your blood pressure or your pulse rate or your body mass index, all these metrics that they take whenever you have the opportunity or unfortunate opportunity of going to a doctor's office. So breathing is a cornerstone, fundamental dimension or aspect of your health and well-being. And from we can appreciate that from like a kind of gross, overt perspective, like, hey, I'm not breathing, there's a big problem. And on the other end of the spectrum, we can, from more of a yogic perspective, it's a more nuanced conversation. We start to look at more of the subtle aspects of the breath, little hitches within the breath, or the quality of our inhalation relative, or within formal pranayama practice, retaining or holding the breath at the top or the bottom. So in yoga, it's a very well-developed and in-depth conversation. And within that conversation, they've identified 3 pathologies. And the first is simply gasping, right? Gasping means that the breath is too hard or forced. I have a dear friend, and maybe he'll be watching this, we'll see. I'll know, I suppose. And he'll talk, and then go like this, talk. And my thought is, oh dear friend, how are you still alive? So the measure or the smoothness of the breath, that's essential. And commonly in yoga class, this might show up as like excessive hardness when practicing this ujjayi pranayama. So, you hear it from across the room, and you may even saw my eyes kind of bulge and my brain get hard when I did that. So in the practice of ujjayi, make it as just a soft internal whisper that you can kind of loop into and observe. So it captivates your attention, no more and no less. The second pathology, right? Pathology of breath is an irregular pattern of inhalation and exhalation. So more often than not, you can check this for yourself, a dominant tendency or bias in the quality of your in-breath or the quality of your exhalation. In other words, you breathe longer in or longer out. And your type A, I'm told, I haven't read any studies on this, but your type A execs, A-types, tend to emphasize the in-breath, whereas your massage therapists and yogis and so forth tend to emphasize the exhalation. So we try to, as a practice, shore that up so that your inhalation, exhalation are even, and you can do that by way of a count, right? So formal seated pranayama. Next is what's called emotional breathing, and this means like subtle hitches or kinks in the quality of either your inhalation or exhalation. And you know how like heart monitors or brain waves, they might take a little, the graph goes like this and up and down, registering movement and so forth. And the same could be true for the quality of our breath. If we really zoom in, we find some erratic tendencies. So as a matter of practice, refine the quality of your breathing as much and as you can. And to do that, there's a practice called pure breathing, essentially where you focus on that. You could think of it, this quality or style of breath, as elliptical in shape. So the soft contour at the top of the in-breath, soft contour at the bottom of the out-breath, and so forth. it moves as smoothly as possible. So in practice, what you can do or take away from this presentation is within asana, explore the full range of inhalation and exhalation. So we may only be breathing in 60, 70 something percent, and then explore taking that up to say 90%, still leave a little bit of buffer room in there in those transitions, inhalation, exhalation, but gradually begin to expand the threshold of your breath. And you have to slow down a little bit to do this. You're like, oh wow, I was just powering through this thing and I never really noticed that if I took the full, right amount of attention to the fullness of inhalation, exhalation. And second practice, this is for a seated technique. I mentioned it moments ago, and that's just pure breathing. So slow down. This is sort of the opposite in some sense. Slow down your breathing and iron out, almost like you're taking an iron. You iron out wrinkles in the clothes. Iron out any irregularities, hitches, so forth. Make it smooth. All right. Peace, my friends. Wishing you well and blessings on the yoga path, and props to all my subscribing friends out there as well. All right. Peace out.